e-learning module on anti-money laundering AML and Know Your Customer KYC. I'm Alicia, your friend, instructor and guide. In this micro-learning module, you will learn the concept of money laundering, its origin and its stages, introduction to KYC, customer acceptance policy, customer identification procedure, risk categorization of customers, enhanced due diligence mechanism for special risk categories of customers like PEP, non-face-to-face accounts, etc. Reporting requirements under PMLA, new updates in PMLA. Money laundering is the process by which money obtained from illegal sources like drug, human trafficking, corruption, tax evasion, etc. is disguised in a manner to make it appear from legitimate sources by putting it through various transactions in the financial system. Mark, a criminal mafia in the Boone Island, has accumulated lots of wealth through his criminal activities. Mark wants to launder this money to hide the illegal source of wealth. For this, he transfers the cash to Haven Island to an investor. The investor, on behalf of Mark, carries out a series of complex financial transactions. The large amount of money is broken into smaller parts and deposited into a number of bank accounts held in the name of shell companies, trusts, etc. This amount in various bank accounts is then used to purchase different assets like shares, bonds, and mutual funds using different broking accounts and insurance policies. The shares, bonds, and mutual funds are sold or redeemed in a short duration of time. Similarly, insurance policies are also surrendered within a short duration. The proceeds from sale of these financial instruments are then used to purchase properties in the name of the same shell companies of whom the ultimate beneficiary is Mark and his family. Laundering money typically consists of 3 stages. The first stage is placement, the next stage is layering, and the final stage is integration. Placement is the introduction of illegal money into banking and financial systems through an apparently legal course. In this stage, the launderer will make use of financial institutions like banks and financial intermediaries like currency exchange, money transfer companies to deposit and transfer the illegal money. Another mechanism of placement is commingling of legal and illegal money. The latter is disguised as business turnover, which is easily possible through retail outlets like restaurants, supermarkets, which are largely cash intensive. Yet another placement technique involves invoice fraud, which includes over-invoicing or under-invoicing, falsely described goods or services, and phantom shipping, where no items have been shipped and the fraudulent documentation was produced to justify the payment abroad. In the case of transnational frauds, the placement is done by physically moving the currency out of the location where the crime was committed to a more favorable neighboring location. The currency is then further broken down and moved into other locations. As the name suggests, layering involves a series of complex financial transactions to distance the illegal funds from their place of origin through multiple bank accounts spread across various locations, of which some might not fall under the jurisdiction of AML laws. It also involves professional intermediaries and trusts and shell companies. Launderers use a method known as smurfing, where large amounts of money transfers are broken into small, less suspicious amounts. At this stage, the money can also change forms like demand drafts, bonds, shares, mutual funds, etc. Layering is also the most common entry point for crypto, as criminals use it alongside the traditional financial system to disguise the origins of their funds. Some of the layering tactics used by criminals are chain hopping, which is converting one cryptocurrency into another and moving from one blockchain to another. Mixing or tumbling, which is the blending of various crypto transactions across several exchanges, making transactions harder to trace back to a specific exchange, account, or owner. Cycling, which is making deposits of fiat currency from one bank, purchasing and selling cryptocurrency, and then depositing the proceeds into a different bank or account. The final stage of money laundering is integration, where the laundered money re-enters the system in legitimate-looking form like investments in genuine business transactions, physical properties, investments in luxury assets, etc. And hence, the origin of funds becomes difficult to trace. Since the funds re-enter into the system in a washed or a legitimate way, launderers do accept a higher shrinkage in the wash as the cost of doing business. Now that you have learned about money laundering basics, it is important for us to understand how to prevent money laundering. The AML framework consists of Know Your Customer KYC, risk categorization and assessment, ongoing due diligence and monitoring, and reporting of suspicious transactions. The KYC includes Customer Acceptance Policy (CAP) and Customer Identification Procedure (CIP), which is based on the risk category of the customer. Ongoing due diligence and enhanced due diligence also form a part of the AML framework. All financial institutions in India are required to report suspicious transactions to FIU India. We will understand in detail each of these points in the subsequent sections. All the regulated entities should have a clearly laid down policy for customer acceptance, which aims to identify clients which pose a higher risk from the money laundering and terrorist financing perspective. Not to open accounts in any anonymous or fictitious or benami name. Not to open accounts where appropriate client due diligence (CDD) measures could not be applied either due to non-cooperation of the customer or non-reliability of the documents or information furnished by the customer. Specify the mandatory information to be sought for Know Your Customer KYC purpose while opening an account and during the periodic updation. The CDD should be applied at the Unique Customer Identification Code (UCIC) level to avoid multiple identities of the same customer, which in turn helps the entities to monitor various activities across the branches or multiple offices. The CDD should be conducted for all the joint account holders while opening a joint account. Procedure for opening and transactions in accounts permitted to be operated by a third person on the client's behalf shall be clearly laid down. Adequate verification of a person's authority to act on behalf of the client should also be carried out. Necessary checks should be put in place before opening an account so as to ensure that the identity of the client does not match with any person having known criminal background or is not banned in any other manner by any enforcement agency worldwide. All regulated entities should have a robust risk management system to handle real and perceived risks. This requires creating appropriate customer risk profiles based on parameters like nature of business, location, financial status, social status, manner of making payments and sources of funds, etc.